Hi, I'm Jen Kelly. I am the CEO and one of the fractional CMOs at New Initiatives Marketing.
And hi, I'm Nicole Crozier, and I'm a fractional CMO with New Initiatives Marketing. What we do is we provide fractional CMO and expert marketing services for B2B CEOs. Most of the companies that we work with have grown to around 3 to 10 million, primarily on sales-led initiatives. And this means that they may have had some ad hoc marketing in the past, but they really haven't invested in building a marketing team, whether that's an in-house marketing team or an outsourced marketing team. When we work with clients, one of the things that we help them do as fractional CMOs is guide them in building that right marketing team. Both of us have worked in B2B organizations before, and we've hired people, and we've seen when it's been done well, and we've seen a lot of the mistakes that can be made. And so that's why today we wanted to talk about the top 5 B2B marketing hiring mistakes that we see and that we hope that you can avoid.
Talk to me about mistake number one. You know what? I think this mistake has actually been made into several memes around the internet where a marketing job description has so many things required that one person couldn't possibly do it all. But talk to us about that number one mistake.
Yes. So mistake number 1 is hiring one marketing person to do it all. And the challenge here is that this isn't like the old days, the 1990s of marketing, where things were a little bit simpler and you may have been able to get away with a marketing generalist who could manage most of your marketing for you. With the internet, with social media, with online advertising and things like that, marketing today has become quite complex. And this means that one person is not going to have all of that specialized expertise that you need.
Well, with that mistake of hiring one person to do it all, it's funny you mentioned the 1990s. That's when I started my career in
Me
marketing. And
too.
I think we had, good. We had outdoor, we had radio, we had TV, we had print.
hmm
And those were things like, although they're very different, of course, and they have their own skill sets to be able to manage. It was the kind of thing that we bought that time. We developed those campaigns weeks to months in advance. There wasn't the daily second by second feedback from your audience about what is happening. Like it was very contained in a way that one person could manage it all or
Right.
would be able to, do certain campaigns with certain channels, in series or whatnot. Now, here's the thing. While that person may be aware of all the possible things there are in
Mm.
marketing, to have one person do it all, I mean, if we drill right down to it, you're not going to have the same person that writes the copy, design it, and then build the website and then be able to dive into the analytics about it. Like there's so many different skill sets that it's not possible to do it all.
Right, exactly. And so there's a few things that you've mentioned there that have changed. One is that there used to be a lot fewer marketing channels to choose from. So you had radio, you had print, you had TV, things like that, billboards. But today you have so many different marketing channels. You've got all of the social media channels. You've got Google ads. You've got public relations. It's just all over the place now. And so the number of channels is so diverse and you need a unique skill set for each one of those channels. And so while a more senior marketing person may have a level of knowledge in each and understand what they are and when they should be used, they don't necessarily have that nitty gritty expertise in how to optimize each one of those channels. The second thing that's changed that you mentioned is it used to be a lot of what we called one-way or interruption advertising. You send out the message and then people consume it on the other end, but they don't get an opportunity to talk back. And so that's the other thing that's changed with social media and the internet is you get a lot of feedback from your customers. You have reviews, you have people commenting on your social posts and things like that. And so that brings another level of complexity and something that you need to manage and take into account. Yeah, and the other thing is that buyers and consumers today are so much more savvy and have higher expectations. They know what a marketing message is. They know when you're being authentic or not. And so they have expectations around what they're expecting you to say, what they're expecting you to do, and how quickly you respond to them, or get them what they need. And so adding in all of those together just adds to that complexity of marketing today. And it's just not realistic to expect one person to be able to do all of that. All right, so let's move on to mistake number 2.
So mistake number 2 we've identified is not hiring a strategic marketing leader first. So what we have found in our travels, as well with some of the clients that we start to work with, one of the reasons that they brought us on is because they've either done one of two things: hired the person at the top and expected the person at the top, the marketing leader, to actually do all the work that we just talked about, that one person doing all the work. And now, while they may have come up through the ranks in their marketing career and may have done different parts of it at different times, even a very, very skilled A-player marketing leader can't possibly do it all. What we've seen on the other side is where someone is hired at too junior of a level. So right out of school, maybe even 2-3 years into their marketing career, they're hired as the person to come in and do it all. And what's unfair about that level, that person might be very much very, very savvy in certain areas of marketing, but from 0 to 3 years, I mean, just doesn't have the experience to be able to set the strategic plan, lead, gather, make sure everything's happening within an organization marketing wise. So hiring too high or too low at first and expecting that to make your marketing all work is the mistake. So what we would suggest is you hire the strategic marketing leader first, with the understanding that that leader is going to be setting the strategy and the plan for the marketing, and then to bring in the team, either that fractional CMO bringing in their own team to help you execute, or helping you find the team to then execute upon that strategy.
Right. And those are all such good points. And I'll add to that, just based on mistake number 1, which is talking about how complex marketing is right now and why it's hard to hire just one person to do it all. It's also hard for a B2B CEO who doesn't have a strong background in marketing to know when that person is senior enough or if they're too junior. Because marketing's so complex, it's sometimes hard to gauge the level of skills. And that's why when we go in as fractional CMOs, we can really serve as a great guide in that area. So now let's move on to mistake number 3, which is outsourcing everything to a marketing agency. What's going on here is that, you've reached a certain level of growth. You want to get going right away with your marketing. You need to invest more seriously in marketing, and you want it to happen really quickly. And so oftentimes the CEO will think, well, let's outsource all of this to a marketing agency, especially if they've used a marketing agency for a specific campaign here and there in the past. Now, the challenge with this is that most marketing agencies tend to focus on specific tactics. So they specialize in a key area and get really, really good at that. And so an example could be a branding agency, a graphic design agency, website design, SEO, Google AdWords, content marketing. Usually agencies specialize in one of those areas. But what they don't do is develop the company's overarching strategy. And they aren't senior marketing leaders often who have worked in B2B organizations before. They may have been, but for the most part, they aren't. So what we recommend is bringing in a senior marketing leader first, whether that's a fractional CMO on the outsourced area or hiring a senior marketing leader in-house. Because what happens there is they're going to be able to look at your business, understand your business goals. They've worked in B2B organizations before, so they can collaborate with sales and other departments to understand what's going on there. They can talk to your clients, get that valuable feedback, set your marketing strategy, and then they can guide you into whether you need an agency to execute a specific part of that strategy, who you need to hire, and the next steps that you need to take. But if you hire a marketing agency first, what can happen is they could skip that strategy level and recommend a tactic just based on their experience in that one tactical area. And it may not be right for your organization. It may not be tied to the strategy that you really need, and it may not work for your business goals. Mhm.
And sometimes in these kind of situations where everything is outsourced to a marketing agency, it's assumed by the client that the marketing agency is just going to figure it out. And,
Mm,
and that's an unfair expectation, particularly when if you don't have anyone in-house guiding the marketing or guiding
mhm.
the agency. Now, these agencies are full of very, very smart and capable people, but they still need to be guided to what are your business goals? How are we going to
Right.
bring what we have to help you in order to help you achieve your goals there too. So just throwing everything over the fence to a marketing agency to figure out is
Mhm.
just that's a mistake we see. It's an unfair thing that happens to the marketing agency, and it can be disappointing
Right.
for the client with sort of mixed expectations.
Let's move on to mistake number 4, which is hiring a full-time CMO too early.
Hiring a full-time CMO too early. So in the scenario that we're talking about, so it's a B2B company that has seen the need for getting much more serious about marketing. So they decide, okay, we're going to go with the strategic leader. We're going to bring in a full-time CMO. So hiring too early can put enormous financial pressure on the company. At the time of this recording and some of the research that we have done, so on the low end, CMOs for Canada and the US, you're looking at 175 to 225 on the low end for a base salary.
Mm,
That's before you talk about bonuses, stock options, getting them in
mhm.
office, the whole bit. So that's quite a lot of financial commitment for a company to make. And keep in mind, even though it is a leader, that's a full-time position. That person still needs to come in. They're still going to need the team to execute. They're
Mhm.
going to still need all the marketing software that a modern marketing department needs to execute all their campaigns, all the analytics, all the things that we do in a modern marketing department these days. And oftentimes, to hire anyone in-house, many people who have gone through it know that it takes a long time, probably longer than you would like, to find the right person to bring into the company. You got to make
Right.
sure that there's the right fit culturally. And then even if you bring in your superstar, that person is going to need some ramp up time in order to get used to your company, get used to what's expected, and to start producing some results.
It's quite a huge investment in time, in money, and in overhead resources to bring on a full-time CMO. You're providing all the technology, you're providing the benefits, you're providing everything that that CMO needs to work at that company. It's also an important position to get right. So one of the challenges of hiring a full-time CMO too early can be that you actually don't know who you need for that longer period of time as your chief marketing officer. And that's why what we love doing when we go in and work as a fractional CMO with organizations is we can work with the CEO for a while to almost like help them understand how marketing works at their organization. We can help them set up their initial strategy, get their systems in place. And once we've been working with them for a while, the CEOs have a better understanding of who they need to bring on as a fractional CMO and what their specific expertise needs to be based on what they're setting up for the strategy and the systems already in the organization.
Yeah, that's a good point. With how we work, I was going to say it's a try before you buy, but it's not really. It's kind of the best of both worlds, because while we come in with the fractional CMO services, so at the same time that the CEO and their leadership team is learning what marketing really looks like and how it can help their organization, we're getting a real strategy together. We're putting together the real plan that we're going to execute on day 61. Like we're actually doing the work. So you get a rapid ramp up of that. And then with
Right.
us, with our offering, we come in with the marketing team as well to execute. So we've got the whole
Mhm.
plan together. But as well, we're coming into not expecting to be with you forever. I mean, I guess that's the elephant in the room. So we are expecting to come in, get things up and running for you. And as you decide, okay, I really do want an in-house marketing team. We are there to sort of pave the way for it and
Mhm.
also give you time to go and find that marketing leader, or to find, if you want to start in with junior staff or mid-level staff,
Right.
you have the breathing room to find those great people, make sure they're a good fit. And as they come in, we're handing off that piece of the work to your in-house hire, and away we go. So we're kind of getting ourselves out of a job, but the whole point is to get you up and running with the marketing. And if in-house is what you're after, we're going to do our best to help you, have your folks come in with a well-oiled machine that we're handing the reins over, and, making our exit out of there. So it really is the best of the both worlds. And it's as low risk as you can really make it. You get the marketing going at the same time. You're not committing, at least to us, you're not committing to us as a full-time hire. We're here to help you, show you what can happen, and we are making it happen at the same time.
Right. And then as you mentioned earlier, Jen, bringing on a full-time CMO is a huge investment in money and in long-term resources. And it doesn't leave you a lot left over when you're at that earlier stage for the rest of your marketing team, for the people to actually execute on your plan. And so if you can start with more of a fractional CMO model, it leaves you out those resources on the other end so that you can actually execute on your strategy or bring on the people either outsourced or in-house to help you get those things done. Or let's move on to our final mistake number 5, which is tasking marketing leadership to your VP of sales. What often happens is the CEO will get the company to a certain level, as we mentioned before, mostly on sales-led initiatives. So this means that a lot of the B2B clients that we work with have really well-developed sales organizations. They have a fantastic VP of sales in place. They often have a sales team or channel partners, and they get to a certain stage and they know they need to invest more in marketing. And so what ends up happening, this is tasked to the VP of sales. So then the VP of sales ends up having to take on an entirely different role off the side of their desk as the VP of marketing or CMO. And the challenge here is that the VP of sales doesn't necessarily have a background in marketing, and marketing and sales are not the same thing. They do not require the same type of expertise. And so your VP of sales already has a full-time job, which makes it really hard to really focus on that marketing side in the first place. And then when marketing isn't their area of expertise, it means that they're either going to default to what they know, which is kind of a sales version of marketing, or they're going to have to spend a whole lot of extra time in trying to figure out what the right way to market is. And so we highly recommend that instead of putting this on your sales team on the side of their desk, to really invest in that strategic marketing leader as a separate function from your VP of sales, and have it be someone who brings in a complementary set of skills and experiences that will complement your VP of sales and not be the same thing.
Those executives that we have come across that now have marketing under their wing, and then they decide, okay, we better hire new initiatives marketing to help us with it. The neat thing about that is they have seen, like, holy cow, marketing is a whole different animal than I thought it was. Most of them, all kidding aside, didn't realize how complex it was, or how much thinking was involved in order to get something to its final position, or even how to start certain campaigns. So it truly is a whole different skill set. So, I mean, the good thing about that is you come in and automatically you have a little bit more respect from VP of sales for marketing, which is always nice for sure. But on the other hand too, I mean, your VP of sales, your whole sales team, they've got their quotas, they've got their things to do. They're not going to be forgiven for not making quota because they were, trying to do some copywriting, to get the marketing going, right? So it's kind of an unfair thing to really task that department with. Without sales, really, there's no company, right? You have a hobby going on. So it's kind of too much of a vital engine in your business to go down a couple of gears and have them be focused on marketing, as well as dealing with what they're supposed to do for their sales commitments as well. Well, it's been helpful to have the support of sales. You just know it's a totally different skill set, and do not put that burden on your VP of sales.
Yeah, and oftentimes this can come about in kind of a natural or accidental evolution. You know, when your company is a smaller size or you're just starting out, oftentimes people do need to pitch in and do a number of different roles. And then over time, it can just become an expectation that the sales department is now also in charge of marketing. And so what's also important to recognize is if that's been happening in your organization, that if you've reached a certain level, you need to start to separate that. And so it may be time to take a look at what is on the plate of your VP of sales and make sure that you're able to really take uh, the strategic marketing off of their plate and bring in kind of an expert who can complement what they're doing in that area.
Now, these have just been 5 tips or 5 tips on the mistakes that we have seen. But what we do is we have put together the B2B CEO's ultimate guide to building the right marketing team in today's complex marketing world. We have a download for you. It is quite substantial. It's 32 pages. We have put a lot of effort into this. And if you are a B2B company, a CEO of a B2B company, and it's time for you to think about investing more seriously in marketing, not sure where to start, this guide, this very comprehensive guide can really help you out with that. And then if there was some questions that you had, book a consultation with us. It's a no obligation consultation. We can answer some of your questions and see if there's a good fit going forward and see if we'd be able to help you.